Welcome back to the latest episode of...
Oh my God.
Yes, it was Rachel Maddow's Y2K. As we sit on the brink of a nuclear showdown with North Korea, this manic mouthpiece fixates on a 12-year-old tax return belonging to Trump, and boy, did she sell it like a timeshare in a Florida swamp. It was ShamWow meets Shark Tank without the charm and twice as smug.
Oh my God.
It's been a little bit of a hullabaloo around here this evening. I apologize for being a little flustered.
People literally were tweeting at me, "Shut up, get to Rachel."
We've got some significant breaking news tonight. Donald Trump's tax returns have surfaced, at least a portion of Donald Trump's past tax returns. This is the first time we believe any federal tax returns for Donald Trump have been obtained by anyone, certainly by any news organization, since he became a presidential candidate, let alone president.
Oh, my God. But rather than tell us anything up front, she tap dances like a barefoot drunk on hot sand. Maybe she'll break the news to us now.
Tonight, we have this exclusive first look at their reporting at what they have obtained. In just a second, we are going to show you exactly what it is that we've got. Whether or not you are a supporter of Donald Trump in general, whether or not you care what's in his tax returns, it ought to give you pause that his explanation for why he couldn't release them.
Oh, jeez. So the more she delayed, the more we sensed that maybe the tip of the iceberg is just a tip and there is no iceberg. But maybe she'll tell us everything now.
Is he not as rich as he says he is? Is he not as charitable as he says he is? Was he, in fact, under audit when he was using that as an excuse to not release his tax returns? Was that worse than just a bad excuse? Was he really being audited? There's small reasons to be interested, right? There will continue to be unrelenting pressure to find Donald Trump's tax returns, to expose Donald Trump's tax returns. And I am sure it is only the start, but it's a start. And our little piece of it, we just got it. We'll go through it next.
Next. What is wrong with her? A hybrid of Alex Jones and Alex Trebek, all trick, no treat. Let's give her one more chance.
Let me give you the basics. Aside from the numbers being large, these pages are straightforward. He paid $38 million, looks like $38 million in taxes. He took a big write-down of $103 million. More on that later. If you add up the lines for income, he made more than $150 million in that year. Mazel tov.
So that's it? Talk about a big fat zero, or 6 zeros with a 38 in front of it. Trump paid $36 million in taxes at a tax rate higher than Obama, Comrade Bernie, and MSNBC. I salute you, Maddow. The Pulitzer is in the mail. What's next? Will you be revealing Steve Bannon's disturbing ankle tattoo? I hear it's a dolphin. Huh? So when America hears this news, what do you think they think? Outrage, scandal? No, they think, wow, Trump's rich. Who knew? So how did Rachel fall for this? Trump set it up by fueling the intrigue. Remember when the Roadrunner would paint a tunnel entrance on a rock formation so the coyote would slam right into it? Trump just did that to Rachel. He baited the trap for months, pretending that somewhere lurked the Ark of the Covenant. And now MSNBC has to peel Rachel and her smirk off that stone wall. Trump wins again by the left simply losing their minds and their ethics and their dignity and their self-control. It was awesome.
Left wants to tear down Western civilization because it thinks it's unequal. The radical Muslims want to tear down Western civilization because they think it's evil. So to the point of tearing down Western civilization, they're pretty much on the same page. It's where they go from there that's a problem, right? One side wants to build a caliphate and the other side wants to build a communist utopia. The reason that the left is routinely, and it's almost invariable, that the left ends up siding with the world's worst human beings in every situation is because, again, if you just go back to that fundamental leftist principle that equality of outcome is all that matters in life, that equality of outcome means that something just is happening, think about it. The real world is a place where God designed it this way. I believe this. God designed it not for every individual, but certainly for the vast bulk of humanity. If you do responsible good things with your life, you will be more successful than if you do irresponsible bad things with your life. Well, if the left believes that people who are unsuccessful are more virtuous, then what that means is that the non-virtuous are more virtuous, right? Because the people who are unsuccessful are generally not doing good, responsible things And the left says, well, those people are victims, let's help them. Right? So the Muslims in the Middle East are victims of Israel. They must be victims of Israel because Israel's rich and its neighbors are not. So they must be victims. Well, the real reason that the Muslims, the Palestinian Muslims, for example, are poor is because they've spent all the money that has been given to them, hundreds of billions of dollars, all the money that's been given to them over the course of decades, and they've spent it on terrorism, and they've spent it on stocking it away in their bank accounts of Yasser Arafat and Mahmoud Abbas, and they've spent it on garbage, and they spent it on anti-Israel propaganda. That's the real reason they're poor. But the left looks at it and they say, they're poor. That means they're virtuous. This is why I hate it, really despise it, when Republicans do the whole, I'm a better person because I have a rags to riches story. You weren't a better person when you're poor. Okay, no one is a better person just because they're poor. By the way, no one's a better person because they're rich. All that wealth is a measure of how many voluntary exchanges you engaged in a free market. That's all that wealth is. But the idea for the left is that all inequality is evil. Therefore, the people who are unequal at the top are evil, and the people at the bottom are virtuous. Which is why you'll hear people on the left say things like they like small business, but they hate people who are big business, like the Walmart family, right? The Walton family. They're terrible. Well, were they terrible when they were just a family living in the middle of nowhere? When exactly did they transition over into evil? Right? When they became successful enough, because their success meant, by necessity, according to the leftist worldview, they were depriving others of their fair share. And Bernie Sanders said this right after winning New Hampshire the other night. And this is Bernie Sanders' entire thing. He says the principle of America is the principle of fairness, which makes me want to vomit and never stop vomiting. The principle of America is not fairness of outcome. And he was talking about fairness of outcome. He said, oh, it's unfair that 1% of the population lives with more wealth than 90% of the rest of the population. And, well, maybe, or maybe it's not unfair, because it turns out that 1% of the population is hiring the other 90% of the population to actually provide their services and labor.